estimated that 3.5 billion people worldwide use social media, and that number is growing by about 1 million people every single day. That's 45% of the world's population. And that many people spend on average 2 hours a day on one platform or another, making that roughly, wait for it, 6 years of our entire lives. Now, I grew up before social media was around, so I didn't have to deal with the pressures on a global scale like today's teenagers. Getting made fun of in school, I'm not gonna lie, it sucked, but it was in front of maybe 10 people. Today, cyberbullying is like an aerial firefighter dropping gasoline on a wildfire. And now, even as an adult, it's not easy dealing with the pressures that come with being on social media. The judgment, the comparisons, the negativity, yep, it's all easily accessible just by one press of a button. Now, what I'm saying isn't new. We are hearing more and more about how social media is causing depression, social anxiety, lack of self-confidence, and even obsessive-compulsive disorder. Yes, according to some, social media will be the downfall of modern civilization. But what about all the great things it's brought? Facebook was Quest's main marketing tool when all we had were rolling pins and knives in a kitchen we rented by the hour. It was Facebook that allowed us to communicate directly with our customers and bring immediate value with our product. That's how we grew 57,000% in our first 3 years alone. And what about the fact that I'm able to connect with my mum daily on Instagram, who lives thousands of miles away? Yes, there are definitely two sides to this issue, and I think it's important to discuss how we navigate the challenges and use it as a superpower instead of allowing it to be our kryptonite. And so today I wanted to do a different kind of show. I wanted to bring on incredible women who have lived both sides of the coin. Women who know only too well how social media can both be rewarding and corrosive. So first, I'd like to introduce you to the grandmother of YouTube, the tech geek herself, iJustine.
I was like, that has to be me. Grandma's here.
Yes, she is. In 2007, she decided to set up a camera and film herself opening a 300-page phone bill she received. What she didn't realize was that phone bill would pay back in dividends. She posted the video on YouTube, and like Mount Vesuvius, the internet erupted. With over 3 million views in the first 10 days alone, along with international news coverage, iJustine went viral. Going on to post nearly 30 videos a week, she was the 103rd person to join Instagram and one of the first people on Twitter. Yes, this woman of impact was certainly impacting. But the pressures became too overwhelming, and it was then that she realized she had the power to change it. So she listened to herself, focused on what she loved, and allowed her true, authentic self to lead. Now a gamer and vlogger, she has an army of over 10 million subscribers across multiple platforms and over 1 billion views on YouTube. As one of the most successful influencers of all time, it's safe to say she certainly knows a thing or two about social media. My next and final guest needs no introduction, but it would be my honor, so I'm going to anyway. The indomitable Cassey Ho. After graduating and moving to Boston, this woman of impact felt like she had left her Pilates students from college hanging. So she decided to film a routine and upload it to something called YouTube. Little did she or anyone else know, this would be the birth to her juggernaut of a brand, Pop Pilates and Blogilates. And only a few years later, in a groundbreaking partnership, 24-Hour Fitness would make Pop Pilates the official Pilates format of their gyms in the US. Over 4,000 classes streaming live every month around the world. Listed by Forbes as one of the most emerging and most successful social media marketers, Cassey has been featured on Good Morning America, Dr. Oz, People Magazine, Cosmopolitan, 17, and the New York Times, as well as graced the cover of Health Magazine. I'm out of breath just saying that. But with over 4.5 million subscribers on YouTube, and guys, just to put that into perspective, that's almost the entire population of New Zealand. The pressure of being in the spotlight and the need to be perfect all the time just became too much. So she crunched, squatted, and lunged back at the haters in a video titled The Perfect Body by addressing the misconceptions social media has on body image. And no pill could fight how viral the video went. With now close to 14 million views, it is clear this woman brings more heat than the hottest wings on the Scovian scale. And safe to say, she certainly knows a thing or two about social media. So guys, please welcome to a very special edition of Women of Impact. I'm Lisa Bilyeu, and I went from housewife to co-founding the billion-dollar company Quest Nutrition, and now president of Impact Theory. Our mission with this show is to empower you and all women to recognize you really can become the hero of your own life. Welcome to Women of Impact.
I feel like you need a round of applause.
Guys, you need a round of applause. Those, I had to trim your intros so much. Those were just like the super highlights. And where I really want to start is like really from the beginning, where you guys are starting on social media, because I want this to be really relatable for everyone watching and listening as well. So you start social media and your first hate message comes in. What do you do?
Okay, so when I put up my first YouTube video, I was really afraid that my first negative comment was going to be, oh, her form's not good enough. Like her abs aren't sucked in and her shoulders aren't lifted. Like look at the point in her toe, it's not there. I really thought that's what my hate comments were going to be. But the first one I got was about my body instead. It was like, oh, she doesn't have abs. Like if she's been doing all this Pilates, like why does she look like that? And that really made me so sad. I cried and I like laid on my bed in a fetal position because it really shot at something that I had been struggling with my whole life because I grew up chubby. And so anytime someone would say something about my body, I took it very personally. So to have it done online and for me to go out on YouTube just teaching, I thought this was about the workout. It wasn't about my body. It suddenly became about my body. And it brought back all the memories from childhood. So it was super hurtful.
And it's hard because they will pick the one thing that you're so insecure about and just chip away at it.
Is it they'll pick the one thing, or is it that you get so many people that say different things, and the ones that are so ridiculous you almost dismiss, but the second it's actually like
a real thing
that like touches on something. Well, I got my first hate message fairly recently. They basically said, how can someone like you who is so skinny do a TEDx talk? Like you shouldn't be promoting your body.
Wow.
And I've been so sick. My health has been so bad for 4 years. I would love to be able to eat a cake and not think about it. Yeah. But it touched on something that was so deeply emotional for me because I'm struggling with it. So I was like, I wanted to give a reason behind it. Did you guys ever find yourselves doing that? Like kind of justifying something or like, no, but if you really knew.
Yeah, well, and I think they see the bits and pieces of things because that's what social media is. It's so fragmented. So you see one small version, you see one photo, you see one video, and you decide to jump on and just kind of form your opinion. Whereas if they've been there from the beginning, they'll know that, you know, maybe this video is building on something else, or maybe I'm being extra crazy on this video because this is something that everyone knows that I love. But it's not like no one has been there from the beginning. They just see one thing and they just immediately try to make their own judgments. And sometimes I also think like I can't fault them because this is all they see and they don't know the story. And it's so hard because like I keep just going through this struggle with myself. I'm like, no, that's not okay. But wait, they don't know. They don't understand. So it's like I'm making excuses for them. So it's like you're going through this whole process and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go outside. Like I can't be dealing with this right now.
Is that actually what you do?
I'll
You,
either
like,
go
put your
outside
phone
or just
down?
like, okay, I'm done, and I'll go take a nap. I honestly like sleep for me is like how I recharge. Like there'll be just days where after traveling, I'm like, I need a day. Like I can't do anything. Like I'm gonna just sit here and think about all the things that I should be doing, but also just like, you know, enjoy that moment because you have to recharge. And sometimes it does have that reset factor.
I can't fall asleep because all I'm doing is thinking about it. I don't know how you like shut it out of your mind.
I don't know. I've always just been able to fall asleep. So I'm definitely
Really?
lucky, but I know a lot of people do struggle with that. Like even my
Yeah.
sister, like she just can't fall asleep. Like we will share a hotel room together and I'm like, okay, well I'm passed out, won't move for like 6 hours. And she's up there like thinking and stuff like that. So I mean, people do operate differently. So it really is just finding that thing that works for you, which sometimes it takes forever, but when you finally do, it's so rewarding.
But how do you know when you're getting a criticism or a comment, how do you assess it and say like, this could be true? Because I think constructive criticism can help improve you. But sometimes you're like, is this constructive? Is this just spiteful?
Well, I think you have to have self-awareness. Like you, as a human, you know when something's true. You may not like it. It may take you an hour or so to finally come to terms with the fact. And that's why I really do like talking to Sam because he'll be like, all right, like I know you're upset, but you know that's like a weakness that you have or something. And then you don't like it, but you know it's true, so you have to work on it. And to be honest, when you listen to the constructive criticism, your channel gets better, your brand gets better. Because it's true. It's that stuff that you don't want to get into that you have to dive right into. And it hurts in the beginning, but it's so good for you.
Yeah.
And I think you can definitely tell. I mean, in a
Yeah.
lot of the constructive criticism, like they are not saying it to actually hurt you.
Yeah.
So you do learn. I mean, everything is a learning process from posting things online to just anything, really.
I like that intention. Like, what is someone's intention when they're saying it? Is it to like try and pull you down?
Yeah.
Or is it to like, hey, like you could get better because of this? I think that makes
Yeah.
such a difference.
It's always the worst though, because I'm like, man, I know it's true.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, okay, you're telling me all these terrible things, like telling me to go die. I'm like, okay, I get it. I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Come
no
up
big
with something a
deal.
little more creative.
But like, has anyone ever said that to your face?
No.
Yeah, right. No one's ever said any of the
Okay.
mean things that they've said online to my face. So literally, if you turn off your phone and put it away, it kind of didn't happen because no one has ever been that mean to my face. So they were too cowardly to even tell you. So I just discount that.
Yeah.
And again, I
Yeah.
mean, I just always have this conversation with myself thinking like, what is this person going through that made them say
Right,
that?
right,
And I
right,
mean,
right.
like, I find myself scrolling through, seeing everybody having so much fun, and I'm like, I'm down right now. Like, I'm not having a good time. Everyone else is having fun. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's
Even
like
though you know yourself, because you even just said
Yeah.
it's a snippet of a certain person's life. So you know intellectually,
Yeah.
it's just a portion of their life.
Yeah. It does turn into just a snippet. And I also fall into that because I have posts that I schedule when I'm either traveling or dealing with family stuff or, you know, personal things. No one would ever know because my social media existence still lives. And I think it is trying to figure out what that fine line of is how much do I let you into my life now? Because like I streamed my life for 24/7 for 6 months straight.
That's
I was
insane.
vlogging for, I mean, like almost 10 years.
That's so
and
crazy.
it really did hit a point where I was like, I'm sharing too much. I am ruining myself. I am not myself anymore. Who am I? Am I doing this for them? Am I
Yeah.
me? I don't know. So it's like you go through these just kind of internal debates, and then I just, you know, found activities outside of the internet that were for me only. And I think that was the best thing that I could have ever done.
That was your biggest breakthrough, is that do
100%.
something for you.
You just for me, no one else, and don't post about it. And I think, although we've slightly been talking about it, but I started training in jiu-jitsu, and for me that opened like this whole world of I'm doing this for myself. I go to train, I put my phone away, and like I'm on the mat, no one knows who I am. It's just something that I'm doing for myself, and it's been so incredible. And for me, like I walked into that gym feeling so incredibly weak, like I could not do anything, you know, physically, mentally, and it's just over the course of the year, like I've learned so much about myself, and it just rips down those walls of vulnerability because you have to be vulnerable. It's like you're going in and training in something that you've never done, you know nothing, and it's so rewarding to just be able to learn from people who know that craft. So I think, you know, taking that, for example, like find something that you can do for yourself that is just for you. But it's hard because until you hit that point, you're not going to realize that the stuff we're saying is just going to float away.
Yeah,
You're going to
yeah,
be like, yeah. Until you need that information,
Yeah.
like it's going to mean nothing to you.
Yeah.
Because like I would hear people talk about this stuff all the time. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'm fine, cool. And then when you do hit that point, like it's okay. Like you have to listen to yourself. Like if you have to take a day off, like do it.
That's what I was going to ask, because there's people at home now that like, everything you guys did, right? Like 24 hours, that's insane, for 6 months. But people are looking at you saying, but that's how you got so big.
It is, and I think you have to make sacrifices, which
Okay.
we were talking about too. Like when I was doing that, one of my best friends at the time, she was like, "You're either going to choose this camera, or you're going to choose me, and I'm moving out." And like the crazy person, I was like, "No, this is it. I'm doing this. This is something." And like I had so much belief in what I was doing, even though it was live streaming. No one was doing it. Justin TV was the precursor to Twitch. Like sometimes when I think about how insane that is, and the fact that I chose the internet and technology over one of my best friends who now thankfully we've reconciled and we're still great friends.
Oh, good.
But yeah, no, it's good. But it's you have to make sacrifices. I've sacrificed a lot of stuff, and I know you have as well, like friendships, relationships. So many things have you've had to push away until you get to a point where you can have that luxury of being able to choose. Because you do have to make sacrifices, and it sucks, but when your health and stuff kind of becomes a priority, you do have to realize that that's more important than the internet or anything else.
Is there ever do you ever feel like you're responsible to share your life? Where do you make that line?
Yeah, I think I share a lot. I do. I love Instagram stories. Like Instagram stories for me has replaced vlogging. So I do share. Me saying that I don't share a lot is actually sharing a lot. So I don't want to say that I don't, but I think it's just drawing the line of okay, if I don't want to share a family outing or just whatever, you don't have to. So I think you have to feel that need to post so much, just kind of like drives you crazy. And I also like to have content scheduled, so if there is a week that I'm traveling or something, or God forbid something awful happens, like I have content that can just make it seem like everything's fine, which, I mean, it kind of sucks, 'cause it's like sometimes I feel like I'm not living, like I'm living sort of a lie, but I feel like that's what social media is, which is the root of the problem. So,
Well, social media has evolved, right? Because like
Yeah.
it's become really like this completely different landscape that is really fueled by things that are most entertaining, which sometimes is the drama.
Yeah. We all know the people that post purely for the drama to get the followers, and they're trying to be controversial on purpose. I try not to judge people. I think that, you know, that's not very nice, but I don't think that that helps society. And that was why I really wanted to do this episode, because it's like, it's much easier to take on the hate when you've got a great company behind you, you've built it, you're like, okay, well, this sucks, but I've got, you know, my business, I can always turn to that. But what about that person that's at home that's part of like a hate back and forth with someone else that they don't have like society either cheering them on or not? What do you do in situations like that?
You know, I'm thinking back to a real situation that happened a few months ago. We had released our Pop Flex line, a new one, and we only were able to go up to size 12, which is very in line with the standard like Lululemons and stuff like that. But previously we had released plus size collections, but there was an issue with manufacturing that did not allow us to finish up our plus size, but we needed to release in time. So anyway, I released a collection up to 12. And people were really upset, and I totally get it, because they feel like they can't wear my clothes and they're on this fitness journey. But somehow one person got through to my DMs, and I read one of the most hateful messages ever, saying like, Cassey, you are a body shamer. You want your fans to feel bad about their bodies. You don't care about women who are larger than a 12. Like, it was just raining down on me, and I was really, really upset. It was one of those, like, I feel like I had a mental breakdown. I was crying. I was like, no, like, this is not my brand. It was one comment. It was hateful. However, it was constructive at the same time. And so what I ended up doing with that, obviously I had to talk to Sam about it. And then I said, you know what? Why don't we do a huge survey to see what does the physical body of my, what do my fans actually look like? What sizes do I really need to serve? And so we sent out this survey, and over 4,000 people filled out the inches of their bust, their waist, their hips.
Wow,
their
you got 4,000 people to do that? That's amazing.
They actually did that, and it was so interesting because the data that I got from that calmed me down, because we found out exactly what our audience looks like. But I think you were asking about someone at home, right, by themselves.
That was a great example though, but yeah, let's say someone at home.
Can you imagine that person's probably struggling with
They're struggling
body
too.
image as well. And they're like, oh man, I was so excited. So it's,
I get it, yeah.
From both perspectives, but that's so hard for you as a business owner too. Like, you are personally being attacked.
Yeah,
like,
it was personally being attacked. One part that wasn't true, but one part I understand what you're saying. So I think, again, being able to talk it out and taking that as feedback and saying, what can I do with this? You got to turn that negativity into positivity, because it's still energy at the end of the day. You just got to transfer it.
What do you guys think about then the responsibility, quote unquote, that you guys have now? Do you think that being on a social platform or being very, you know, out there, well known, how much responsibility do you feel, and how much does that weigh on you?
I feel a lot of responsibility, so much responsibility that I sometimes just don't post anything.
That's what I was going to ask.
It's like, I mean, I used to post so much, but it's just sometimes I'm like, I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to upset somebody. I don't want to talk about this phone, because then this phone manufacturer might get upset. I'm like, am I like really worried that, like, you know, this company's going to get upset? But like, it does. And a lot of that stuff does affect brands and things like that. So it's just like, I try to be very careful about the things that I do say. And, you know, I do try to keep a very clean image. I try not to swear and keep everything very clean, because I know there's little kids watching. And I know there's so much content on YouTube and the internet that they should not be watching. So I just want to know that this is a safe place. You can come be a nerd and be cool, because it wasn't cool back when I was growing up. And, you know, and it sucks, because like, I remember what it was like.
So how do you balance that then with making sure that you're always authentic?
I don't even make videos usually about things that I don't like. Like, everything that I'm doing are things that I genuinely love, and I love making videos. And, you know, I want it to be something that everyone can kind of enjoy, but I also feel like there's a few different versions of myself. Like they're all the same person, but it's like, okay, this is Justine on camera. She's not going to say anything bad.
Well, I think the authenticity part is difficult. Now, for my YouTube content, I am a fitness instructor. What I'm teaching is exactly what I'm teaching. That's fine. When it comes to Instagram or my blog, that's where I run into these issues of like, I want to talk so much more about something, but people will tear me down about things that I honestly don't think they should be offended by, but they are. For example, what I got when I was first on the cover of Health magazine, I said, I'm really proud to be one of the first Asian Americans, maybe the first Asian American to be featured on the cover. And then I got some emails back saying, Cassey, I always saw you as colorless, so can you please take race out of this?
Whoa.
And I just feel like, you know, and of course I don't want that stuff to affect me, but it affects me, and I feel like I pulled back a little bit, I've said less, and I really don't like that because I started out Blogilates with one workout video and also my blog, where I felt like that was my actual diary. I would write exactly how I felt about stuff. And when you're smaller, the people who follow you are really on board. They love it. As you get bigger, you get more people trickling in who may not know your whole story. And you know what? If people want to unfollow, please, because I don't think you need to be a part of this conversation. I just need to be authentically me. So on Instagram and my blog, I plan to continue to do what I was doing before all of this craziness came in. But it is hard. It is really hard.
It's just so interesting because in each category of like the internet, like fitness, and what's so cool about like our little girl group is we all have such like niche things that we do, like fitness and music and tech and cooking and comedy. So it's crazy because we all are doing something different, but we all have the same exact problems. And that's not just like us, it's like the people at home watching as well. And I think that was, you know, like the point of this too is it is awful, but it's also incredible. Like I would have never met you guys if it wasn't for the internet. We wouldn't be here talking about this, having this opportunity. I mean, it has completely changed my life. I mean, definitely for the better. I mean, if I'm feeling alone, I go on Twitter, I have friends and they're there. And it is really just, it's incredible. I mean, because I know we are bashing it a lot.
Right.
So, but it is trying to find
I think it's amazing.
That balance of, yes, there is destructive qualities of it, but it's because we're doing that to ourselves and letting it happen. And, you know, I think you just sometimes have to realize, like, what is this issue and how can you change it? And I don't know, I mean, I still absolutely love it. It's just, it is sort of a love-hate sometimes. And it's just trying to find the good. And I would have never met you guys if it wasn't for it.
But that's really important as well, so thank you for bringing that up, because really, like, I wanted to talk about, like, navigating the problems, but I want to talk about how much it has changed the world in a positive way.
For sure. I mean, just like news, and even if it's fake news, it's still like, this is how like I get all of my information, how I make friends. I mean, like I was definitely, I'm still like kind of shy, even though I'm like an extrovert online, but no, like I'm extremely an introvert. So for me, most of my friends that I have met online. And it's crazy because as soon as I found the internet, I was like, oh, I'm not alone. And, you know, I mean, that feeling just being like a 12-year-old girl, like liking these weird things, I was like, oh, cool. There's other people that like this. So like, I felt like I belonged. And I think now that's on such a grand scale. And I mean, it's like somehow we just have to fight through this hate and just like, we do have to deal with it. And it's awful.
Because, like you said, there are amazing things that can come out with it if you can deal with the hate. I mean, like taking your community, Cass, you've built a community of people where everyone like understands each other, resonate with each other, and we wouldn't have that if the internet didn't exist, right? I'm sure there's many girls out there that would have felt alone if they hadn't have found you and your community. Talk to me a bit about that and what your community is saying, and like from their eyes.
No, Blogilates would not be around had it not been for YouTube, like 100%. I am a group fitness instructor. I love teaching, but you're restricted by the times you can teach, where you can teach, the physical location, how many people can be in your class. So being able to upload that first video and thinking it really was only for my 40 students at 24-Hour Fitness before I moved off, and then seeing that thousands of people were watching it, asking for more. Now I could be teaching globally while I'm sleeping too. Like, that was really cool. And so it's been incredible to see that girls are doing my videos in their bedroom, like how when I was growing up, I was doing Mari Windsor's Pilates DVDs in my bedroom, like, and then seeing those girls grow up to get certified in pop Pilates and then be teaching at the gyms wherever in their communities, becoming a local leader. Like, That's been super duper cool, and that would not have happened 100% without YouTube. And anytime you have a group of people going through the same journey, it's just so helpful and useful for everyone because you understand each other. So when someone is falling down, they're failing, they can see that this girl picked herself up and did it, and I can too. And so even if I'm not there to write a comment back to them or to talk to them or whatever, another girl can help her. And so that community aspect is so important. And a lot of people going through weight loss journeys or fitness transformations, their whole family might be unhealthy and making fun of them for working out. Like, what are you doing? But when you have someone anywhere being like, yeah, I believe you, you've got this, you can really transform your life and then end up transforming the lives of the people around you. So it is really important.
Interesting you say that, because it's like, even when I started jiu-jitsu, I'm like, I want to be the best. I'm going to train every single day. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then I got hurt and I couldn't do anything. I was like, okay, so I'm like, well, what can I do instead of doing this to prepare for when I'm better? So then got more into yoga or doing this and doing weight training and then watching YouTube videos. I was like, I learned so much just watching YouTube videos.
You can learn so much. I learned so much. Like, YouTube is education. Like, education doesn't stop after school. You keep learning through Google and everything. It's amazing.
But I like what you said too, you're talking about like the people around you, like families and things like that. Like it is hard because if someone isn't on that same journey with you, it's really hard to fall right back off. Because I've definitely done the same thing where I'm like, well, everybody else is eating ice cream. I'm like, oh, I might as well too, you know? And then it's just like a downward slope. But it's like that journey. It's just like you have to keep thinking like, okay, well, if I did this, I can fix it tomorrow. Everything will be good. And just keep going.
That really hit me as I was visualizing it. Like, you basically have a choice, right? You've got communities that we're talking about where you can turn to when you're feeling weak, you're feeling vulnerable, you're feeling hurt, you can turn to for support. And at the same time, you've got communities that can make you feel worse about yourself, go deeper into the hole, like you said, spiral down. So as you were saying, I'm like, wow, it really, I know this, but it just hit me for some reason. Like, it really comes to a choice. Do you choose to use, it's like a superpower, right? Do you choose to use it for good or do you choose to use it for bad?
Yeah, and I think it's good to like hit those lows because then you know you're like, oh gosh, I don't want to get back to that point again. And then as you feel yourself getting back to it, you're like, okay, what do I need to do? Just like make small changes, do something, just kind of do something a little bit different to try to get you back on track.
But you're right about making those choices because you, as a human, you have a certain amount of energy you can emit. You can either use it for positivity or negativity because there are a bunch of websites and forums online where you can literally just go bash creators and bash influencers and stuff, and people love that. Or you can use it to better yourself, and learn something. So at the end of the day, social media is simply a tool. It is not good or bad. It is how you want to use it. And I think for us here, we choose to use it to make a positive impact on people's lives. But there are some people that knowingly use it to make another type of impact on people's lives because it gives them views and it's entertaining and whatever. And going back to your question about the responsibility, I think that when you have a platform, you are responsible for the impact that you're going to have. Whether you think you shouldn't have responsibility or not, you do.
Talk to me a bit about your video. So the perfect body just freaking blew up. I've watched it many times now and it still hits me when I watch it. It is so powerful, and talking about the responsibility you have, I felt like that was so on point of a video of saying, like, calling people on their shit, basically. That could have been damaging to your brand as well, though. So did you consider that at all? And then what did that video mean to you?
That video meant a lot to me because that video was when all those comments about my body had gotten to a point where I could not take it anymore. People just kept attacking the way that I looked. And so after crying and hugging myself in fetal position and talking to Sam, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take all of these comments and use it for my audience and against those people. And so I let those comments physically shape my body. What if I made myself look like how you wanted me to look like? And so I think that really helped people visualize how those comments were affecting me emotionally as a person, as a woman. And when I first put out that video, it really was for myself. It was a healing thing, but it ended up resonating with so many people. And I'm glad that it did because it also helped me feel less alone.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's going through the same thing. And you know, that also hit me fairly recently too, when I was like having like a terrible day. And it's just made me so much more aware too of like what everyone's struggling with something.
Yeah, everyone's going through something,
and
nobody knows everything either.
They don't.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just wish people could just be kind, but that's so hard when you are going through something. So it's like, I understand, but it's like, use that to better yourself instead of like trying to bring somebody else down.
Yeah, you've mentioned empathy a lot, and I totally hear you. When I got that first hate message, the first thing I said is, okay, she's mentioned my weight.
Yeah.
So that's like the first signal that why is that a trigger for her?
Right.
So then I went through it like, okay, clearly food is a trigger. Seeing someone that is my weight either triggers her in the sense of, is she struggling because she's anorexic, right? Like I'm just projecting.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
okay, well, if she sees that, she's trying to get better, and somehow my post activated something in her. So part of me was like apologizing, like, I'm sorry if this upset you. But at the same time, I don't think it's healthy to just apologize to people without giving, and so I actually gave context. So I was like, look, so I was defending myself totally. And I sent it in afterwards. I was like, Lisa, like, should you have done that? Should you not have done that? Am I like making things worse for her? But being empathetic, like, is so freaking huge. That changed everything on how I feel about certain things.
And I mean, you don't want to like make somebody feel bad, but you're like, you don't know what I'm going through either.
Right.
So I think sometimes you do have to defend yourself. Like if I'm not getting a lot of hate, then I know that I'm still staying inside of like my little bubble.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's like,
okay.
okay, great. Like people are hating me. Cool. Then this is reaching a whole nother audience. Because, you know, if you are staying sort of stagnant, like even recently, I was like, well, I haven't posted that much. Everyone loves my content. I'm like, no one said they hate me recently. I was like, what am I doing right? Or like, I need to like do something. I don't know. It's just like going outside of your comfort zone and sort of going outside of your audience that loves you. It's like finding those other people, because even though you are finding people that hate you, you're also finding some people that do like you.
All right, so you got to give two things, the best and the worst thing about social media.
Oh boy.
Okay. The best thing about social media is that you can reach so many people and get your message across, regardless of time zones, geography, or really anything else. So I love that about social media. It's a marketing tool. The worst thing about social media is the recent culture that it's evolved into, where everyone feels like their opinion is so important and that they will just say the craziest things so they can get like the most comments and the most likes and the most whatever. And normally you just see this in like Facebook news stuff, the first comment. And I go read those because I'm like, what does the rest of our nation look like? Because living on the coast, sometimes we get, you know, we're in our own bubbles too, and we don't actually see what's going on with the rest of the nation. So
I mean, I'd say the worst thing is just getting sucked into it, you know, especially when you're down and like not at your best. You start scrolling through and you seeing how great everything is, and then you do fall into that trap. So it's like trying to pull yourself out of that. But I mean, the greatest thing about it is like the friends that I've made. I mean, this has become a career. It's completely changed my life, and it's changed so many people's lives as well. I mean, it really can be such an incredible tool. I mean, it really is what you make of it. And when you do feel yourself going down that hole of scrolling and starting to feel bad about yourself, put the phone away, go do something else, just like to better yourself.
Yeah. What is your superpower?
I think my ability to be resilient is a superpower, because I have fallen down so many different times and I've wanted to give up, but in the end I actually don't want to give up, and I just get myself back up, and that's when the changes start happening and the good stuff starts happening. So you would think after a while you would get tired, right, of falling, getting back up, but actually each time it makes me stronger.
I love that.
Geez, this is really difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just being able to not quit, because in what we've been doing, I mean, you haven't quit either. So obviously like the resilience is there. So I think just, you know, being able to just deal with things. And I mean, we've dealt with so much stuff, and it just continues to happen. And I think just each piece of those failures and things that have happened in your life, like that just keeps building you, and it really does make you stronger. Like I love Lego, by the way, just talk about it. But like
really?
just like building like Lego sets, like for me, like that's also like sort of my yoga, my meditation is I build Lego sets. But like building it, really, like life really is just like, you know, piece by piece, you're putting together pieces, something that you learned before. It's gonna help you not make that same mistake, or if you do make that same mistake, you're like, okay, I should have learned the first time. So I just think not quitting is one of mine.
I love that. Where can people find you guys? Where can they find all the amazing stuff that you're doing?
iJustine everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, everywhere.
Any
Blogawadi's
platform.
everywhere. I feel like we've been around long enough
I
that we
know.
actually have it everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much
thank
for coming.
you.
Guys, you got to go check both of these out. Like I said, full disclosure, I know them both, but I freaking adore them. You got to check out everything they're doing because, like they said, they've got so many platforms that they could be talking about. They could be putting out negativity. You see all the bad content out there. Like, they could be doing that, but they don't. Every single time they choose authenticity and promoting empowerment. And that's what I freaking love about these guys, whether it's playing video games, talking about workouts or clothing. Like, these women are really, really doing incredible stuff, so go check them out. If you're not following me, follow me at Lisa Bilyeu, and if you're not subscribed, click that little subscribe button down there. And until next time, guys, go be the hero of your own life. Peace out.
Let's teleport.
What up, guys? Lisa here. Thanks so much for watching this episode. And if you haven't already subscribed, click that little button right in front of you. Click, click, click away. We release episodes every Wednesday, so be sure to get notified. Till next time, go be the hero of your own life.